I was on a panel a long time ago, and the guy asked me, he said, "Hey, Alpha Man, what do you think about the argument tricking versus game? Meaning guys tricking versus users game. What do you think about that?" And I told him, I said, "I don't know if you like my response. It might not be what you want to hear." He said, "No, no, no, no. I want to hear it, man." He said, "We're not going to judge." It was a panel of, about 20 or maybe 20 or 30 guys. They were all talking and stuff. And I said, "Okay, well, here's it. It is what it is. So let me tell you what it is." I say, basically, tricking is just, if you want to do tricking, I don't have a problem with that. Meaning, tricking is just what? You buying some pussy or buying sex. That's all it is. You're just buying sex. That's it. If you go in with that mindset, I don't have a problem with it. Hey, there are some guys that they work 60 hours a week and they work in very laborious jobs and they just don't have time to quote unquote go talk to women, like, in a day game or a night game. So they do some tricking just to get over the hump. I don't have a problem with that. I know a lot of doctors who went to medical school. As y'all know, I went to medical school. And the way you get through medical school is tricking. There's no doubts about it. A lot of dudes be tricking in medical school. It kind of slows down the tricking when they get to quote unquote rotations, when you get to the clinic, because you kind of slow down. You can kind of holler at nurses and stuff like that. But your first 2 years is all classroom. And those first 2 years, pretty much you're going to be tricking because you just don't have the time to study all the information. In medical school, there's a saying: you're drinking information like a fire hydrant. You're trying to drink water through a fire hydrant. It's just too much information. You just don't have time for that. All right, but the problem that I have with tricking is when men say that's all they're going to do. Meaning, if a man is afraid of rejection or he's tired of getting rejected, he just doesn't like rejection. He can't get over it. He say, "You know what? I'm just gonna trick. I'm just gonna lead with my wallet. I'm just gonna put my wallet out there first." I don't think that's good. I just don't think that's good because it's gonna lead to a lot of bitterness and resentfulness. And you can tell the men who've been doing too much tricking. You can always tell the men who've been tricking too long because they'll have a deep resentment towards women. They'll have a deep resentment towards rejection. And they'll say things like, "Well, relationships are transactional. Everything can be itemized on a spreadsheet." And relationships don't work like that. Everything cannot be itemized. You can't itemize someone cooking you a warm soup when you're sick. See what I'm saying? How you gonna itemize someone laying next to you at night? And it's cold, and it feels good to have a woman laying next to you at night. Some men like that. How do you gonna itemize someone being a good mother to your children? See what I'm saying? So the idea of men saying they want to do tricking, I don't have a problem with that. But when men start saying tricking is better than game, I disagree with that. Game is greater than tricking. Game is greater than tricking.